This next presentation is probably going to be one of the most useful ones because you will learn how to survive in a bear market. So welcome to the stage, Jordan Spence from Metamask and Consensus. You know how I like to give you this extra spicy details about our speakers. So Jordan, he actually is a secret chef and he's got a secret Instagram account. And I will not tell you what it is, although I know.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Yeah, I have a cooking Instagram account. She asked me for like a fun fact and I was like, okay, that works. So this talk is called Keep Your Hands and Feet Inside the Roller Coaster at All Times, because as we're probably all familiar, this industry is a roller coaster ride. It goes up and down and upside down and all over the place. Shout out to Kevin from Gitcoin. I stole this meme from him on Twitter. So about me, I'm Jordan Spence, aka SpenceCoin. I'm on the marketing teams at Metamask and Consensus. Prior to that, I was at my Ether wallet in 2017 and my crypto as well for about 4 or 5 years. But more importantly, I've been in this space for a bit, 5 years, which is not the longest amount of time, but it's a good amount of time. And I've seen a lot of ups and downs in this space and a few market cycles. And you know, right now the price of ETH is like 1,200 or something. So what does that mean? It means game over. It's time to pack it up, time to go home, we're all done. No, I'm just kidding, obviously we're not. We're simply in a bear market. This is quite obvious. We've gone up to 1,400, down to 80, up to 4,500, and who knows where the bottom is this time. It can be quite scary for those of us who are unfamiliar with bear markets. Honestly, it's scary to me too sometimes, and that's okay. You might ask yourself, are we going to recover in price? Are we going to zero? We don't actually know those answers, but we do know that if you push aside your monetary concerns, there's a lot of opportunities that kind of come to the surface during a bear market. So you can take a crisis and instead look at it as an opportunity. It's a way for you to reassess a couple of things, like why you're here in the first place, what you're building, and how to build sustainably and survive through a lot of different market cycles and not just die at the first sign of anything bad. So let's take a look back at how we got here and some of the stuff we saw in the last bull market that contributed to the volatility of the bull market and contributed to what we're seeing now. So looking back about 2 years ago, we saw Yam Finance launch. That was a pretty wild day, and it kind of kicked off the DeFi summer and the food madness, all the food-based protocols. It was kind of insane and kind of ridiculous, to be honest. And then a few months later, towards the end of 21, we saw the price shoot up. We saw these DeFi coins start popping off, these governance tokens, these DeFi tokens. It was pretty wild. And after that, in mid-2021, we saw NFTs shoot off like a rocket. Like, it was madness. I think you all are probably pretty familiar with that. But the interesting thing is that with the explosively good things that come from a bull market, like new ideas, new protocols, really unique, cool things, also comes with the explosion of a ton of bad things and inauthentic things and fake things and greed and all of that crap. Like, here's just a small sample size of some of the shit we saw. Another thing we saw, derivatives. There's nothing wrong with the derivative, but I think it was kind of abused, and I think we've all seen 800 Bored Ape derivatives at this point. We've even seen freaking derivatives guides. Like, I think it's pretty ridiculous. A good example of this is the Loot ecosystem. So Loot launched maybe like a year ago or something, and it was a really cool idea, really unique, very exciting. It blew up in popularity, and then like 3 days later, we had all these projects. These are all derivatives of Loot, and they were trying to capitalize on the hype of Loot and ideally, make as much money as Loot did. And all of these, or most of these, are probably dead at this point, and this is just a sample size. There's like dozens of these. And the point is that most of them are totally irrelevant now. And also a sad fact is that all of these are screenshots from my personal OpenSea account, because I minted all of these too. Another example is Metaverse hell. There's like dozens of Metaverse projects at this point that are taking the word Metaverse and using it to sell tons of lands and other fake things. And I don't even think the Metaverse is really defined properly right now, to be honest with you. And most Metaverse-based projects that are here right now will probably not be here in the next cycle. Another thing we're seeing again, scams. Like the last cycle, Mayweather was scamming people. He's here again in this cycle, scamming people. It's the same stuff we see over and over again. It's ridiculous. So, are we having fun yet? I'm embarrassed sometimes, but hopefully it gets better in a bear market. The last example I'll give you is the current crypto contagion, as it's called. All of these gigantic players are now falling like dominoes, and it's kind of ridiculous. And what that is, it's an example of the over-leveraging, the inauthenticity, the hype machines that these projects are, and they're not really following the core values that they should follow. And I don't know if any of these projects that are on this left side will be on the right side in the next cycle. It's hard to say. So an example of that is if you look at the 2017 blockchain project ecosystem. This is all of blockchain. It's Bitcoin, Ethereum, everything. And I'm sure there's like only a handful of projects on this that are here today. And then this is a DeFi map from this year. So how many of these projects are here right now that we think will exist in the next cycle? Probably not too many, to be honest with you, if history tells us anything. But an important note is that a lot of projects fail for normal and healthy reasons, like they didn't find product market fit, they couldn't scale up. It's totally okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Failing is normal. So a lot of these projects that we see right now, we saw in the bull market, they're not going to exist in the next cycle. Even though they feel good, they sound good, they smell good, whatever else when they first launch. So some of the reasons these projects fail is, one, they are purely a hype or a marketing machine. Sometimes they promise you the world, like 20 million% APY, or even 20%, if that rings a bell. Or they have 10-mile-long roadmaps with a pot of gold at the end of it. Or they have fluffy partnerships that they announce every single day that are unrealistic and unsustainable. This chart is called the Gartner hype cycle, and it's supposed to kind of embody the cycle that a new product or technology follows. And I think you can apply this to crypto a lot, because the first thing here is a technology trigger. So this is like blockchain or a new DeFi idea or something like that. And then they start promising you the world, and they reach that peak of inflated expectations. And after that, disaster can strike. You drop into the trough of disillusionment, and ideally you would make your way out of it. You'd keep building, you'd be authentic, you'd keep your users coming back. But I would say in crypto, the trough of disillusionment is pretty much death for most projects, and they don't come back. Another reason is projects like to launch tokens for no discernible reason. I would say that governance tokens in this cycle is akin to ICOs in the last cycle. And pretty much all of them, they don't last. They're a way to make money, to profit off of you, and that's about it. And I also, a lot of projects, they say that they're going to decentralize and become a DAO because it's like better, but I think a lot of projects use it as an excuse to launch a token. So to summarize, they front load for one cycle. They aren't ready to adapt to the changing macro environment. They thought that number go up meant that they were finding success, but in reality it's not. It's short-term success, but it's not long-term success. It's easy to get satisfaction from hype, from users, and from making money without actually innovating on anything at all. So, how do you not die in a bear market and last multiple cycles? You avoid all the things that I just talked about just now. But one important thing is that marketing should elevate your project. It should not be your project. if you are focusing only on marketing and you don't have an actual product or anything new, then you should start kind of questioning yourself or questioning the things that are asking you for your money. Again, don't launch a token for the sake of it. Like, seriously, please, don't do it. And then lastly, you should lower your expectations and your users' expectations. I would say you don't want to write a check in a bull market that you can't cash in a bear market. So a common theme with a lot of these projects is that they have the wrong core values or they don't have any core values. And it's okay to come into the space and not have any values and have your values kind of, be created over time. But it's important to ask yourself a few things. Why are you here? Like, what is your purpose? What are your values? Is it just number go up? Like, are you incentivized financially? Or do you actually believe in what we're building? And do you want to build a new financial system and change the world ideally? An important note here is that it's okay to enter the space with certain values and then have those values change over time. I personally joined the space in 2017 because I was attracted by the money, by the ETH going up. I think a lot of us were, and I'm not afraid to say that because after many years in this space, my values changed over time. I was slowly, I guess, indoctrinated into what Ethereum can offer and what blockchain can offer the world. And so now I'm fully bought into the narratives and it's no longer just money go up. So it's totally okay to not know what you're here for or to be attracted by the financial incentives initially, but really begin to audit yourself after you get into this space and figure out what's going to keep you here long term. Because in a bear market, when the price goes down, if your only narrative is number go up, you're going to have a hard time convincing yourself to stay in this space when the number goes down. A good example of having values is making hard decisions that may make things a little bit more difficult on your users, but you do it because you think it's the right thing to do. An example of this was back in 2017 at my Ether wallet. We used to allow users to enter private keys on the website. This was a very common thing to do back then, but in hindsight, it was a terrible thing to do back then because when users have a really easy and convenient and smooth job of accessing their funds via a website, it's also easy and convenient for phishers and scammers to make fake sites that then get you to put your private key in their site and take all your money. So we saw a lot of these in 2017. So we made the hard decision to remove that function from the website. And it actually added friction. It made things more difficult and less convenient. But we did it because we believed it was the right decision for our users, to make them safer, and to ultimately make the industry safer. And looking back, I think that was the best decision we ever made. That's also why Consensus acquired my crypto earlier this year and folded us into the Metamask team, because they have the same values that we did. And so it's kind of a match made in heaven. We both want to stick around for the long term. We don't want to last one cycle and then go away. We want to build the things that make us last multiple cycles and ideally last forever, because we want to make this space better for you, for everybody here, for the entire industry. That's our goal. We're here alongside you to build together. And this is why you don't see MetaMask making crazy promises. You don't see 10-year-long roadmaps with pots of gold at the end. You don't see pointless, fluffy partnerships that make no sense at all. But you do see things that we're building and promoting that increase the security of our products, increase the accessibility of our products, and increase the permissionlessness. Because when we build things that allow all of these traits, then it makes the industry all of these traits as well. Talking about permissionless, I want to talk about MetaMask Snaps real quick, just briefly. This is a new product that we've been working on. It's for developers primarily right now, but what it's going to do is increase the extensibility of MetaMask like 1,000-fold. And it's going to allow you as a developer to build things on top of MetaMask that make MetaMask do things it can't do right now. For example, somebody actually made a MetaMask Snap that allowed you to manage your Bitcoin with MetaMask. And when I first saw this, my mind was blown. Like, I knew about snaps, but I didn't realize I could do that. So it can do that, and it can do so many more things. And honestly, it can do anything that you want it to do because you can build it and put it on top of MetaMask. And what's cool is that this is in line with our goal of creating a more permissionless world. So we don't have to give you permission to build things for MetaMask. You can just build it and make it do things. That is perfect for us. That's what we want. So for those of you familiar with this meme, this is Mr. Bones' Wild Ride. Basically, it's a roller coaster that you can never get off. It's perpetual. And I view cryptocurrency kind of like that. You can't get off of this ride when you're on it, but there's a lot of things that you can do that'll make your ride more interesting, more fun, and a lot more safer in general. And then lastly, this is a great meme. You don't have to leave in a bear market. In fact, I encourage you to stay, because when bear markets happen, this is when the really, really, really cool, world-changing things get created. And so that's all from me. This has been an awesome conference. I've had a lot of fun here. I appreciate the opportunity to share some of these words with all of you. I hope it was, perhaps enlightening or impactful or valuable in any regard. But again, I'm on the Metamask and Consensus teams. I'd love to talk to any and all of you who have any questions about bear markets, bull markets, the cycles, our products, anything like that. If you need a little bit of inspiration, or if you're a little bit scared of being in a bear market, I'd be happy to assuage those fears that you have. But thank you for your time.